40.
Say 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
Sí, señor and señorito, it is time for the mouthwash. Good evening and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is homesteading? Well, I don't know either. I guess I should do a little more research on it. I know a little bit about it, but we're going to learn a lot more about it. And there's actually an event at the Marion County Fairgrounds this weekend where you can learn a heck of a lot more about it. They've rented the whole darn place out and there's stuff everywhere. And we're going to talk about that. Hey, it's going to be a big deal. Now, I don't know if some of you watched my previews. So I usually do a preview on Sunday mornings before my church. And then I talked about that I'm going to be one of the MCs for the Moselle Sanders Telethon for Channel 40. I get to interview the political figures. So I'm lining up some political people that want to come down and pay tributes to those that are in need. So that'll be fun. That actually tapes on November 6th and airs on November 11th. So that'll be fun. And we have just a lot of stuff going on. You know, that other show that with KG that I'm doing is we're going to tape some more episodes on 31st. And that's at 9 o'clock on Thursdays on WHMB Channel 40. And then, of course, our show goes on at 11 p.m. on Monday nights. So this show will be edited. It won't be in time for this weekend for the Channel 40 viewers. If they watch that show, they will miss it. So maybe they can catch it next year. But first, hey, we got a little special tonight. We got a little bit of a special going here. We're going to have Brad come on. He's freshly back from his 5-day concert with the fish, following the fish band around. He's all rested and relaxed and all that. But we're going to have him come on and we're going to talk about the Hamilton East County Library Board and Ray Madone's departure from it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Brad. We're going to talk about this just real quick. He's just basically going to give a little monologue, his opinion, a little op-ed on this. And then we're going to get to our lady of the hour. We have Rhonda Fowler. She's the Indiana Homesteader Conference she's got coming up. Sounds like a big deal. Can't wait to hear about it. So let's go ahead and bring on Brad here. Brad, let's see. I'm putting you on the big screen here. Oh, yeah, there you go. And all
congratulations too on the MC gig. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. I get to interview politicians. I'm going to ask them questions to make them squirm. No,
how dare you? They don't like that.
You know me. I don't ever cause any troubles, right, Brad?
No.
Yeah. So fresh back from the fish, and you got some opinions about this recent departure. Go ahead and fill our viewers in a little bit on the situation. Give us a little cliff notes of where we're at.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm the youth services manager at the Alexandria Monroe Public Library too. So my interest was like career based as well as just personal. But so Banned Books Week was October 1st to October 7th, and it was in that spirit that the stars all aligned. And the most dangerous board member to the idea of intellectual freedom resigned. Ray Madalone's tenure as a board member of Hamilton East Public Library was, to put it bluntly, just a train wreck. I first became aware of Ray after Micah Beckwith was appointed, and I started attending meetings in support of just the staff because the news stories started around that time. That a new collection development policy was going to come out, that were going to move a lot of materials from the teen sections and clear out the pornography that was in the library that was apparently there. But as I started going to the meetings, it didn't take long before I noticed that Micah's stance on everything was very similar, but very mild compared to Ray, which that was a bit of a red flag for me when Micah was the mild one. And so I started looking into Ray's meetings. He first brought up the collection development policy on August 23rd, 2022. There were 3 other names on there, Laura Allerding, and then Tiffany Ditlevson, who's the current president. But they decided to push that to a different special meeting that was in November. Ray proposed that the board postpone further discussion again until the board vacancy was filled, which was filled by Micah. So he already put it off twice. This wasn't apparently a very pressing issue at the time to him. When they all started getting together, it didn't take long for Ray just to start spouting out. He would tell Michelle Payne to put up or shut up. That was one of the nice ones, I thought. To Edra, when he told her that maybe we need new management instead, Edra actually asked him back if he thought that the employees were not reading or reviewing the materials quickly enough. Were they not trying, or were they not already busy? And Ray, he was like, "I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth." And it was just funny to see how thin-skinned he actually got when any question was kind of pushed back towards him. He was one of the ones that helped overturn the review of the book Why. He would say that the book builds the case that violence and anger are sometimes justified, and that's why the book needed to be moved. For the record, it did take 4 members to overturn that review process. Tiffany was one of those members that voted, and her only response was she agreed with Ray, or she said, "I agree." That was it. I think a lot about the meeting where that one was reviewed because I felt like I was in a dystopian novel. They were actually discussing removing books and then also purchasing flock cameras with library funds, all in the name of protecting the people, from ourselves, apparently. And just, I got to say, and John, you were there when he did the reading of The Fault in Our Stars, right?
Yeah, it just seemed to me that he was just so out of touch with things, and I talked to him at basically him and at a fundraiser for, and he just seemed. I bet he's a heck of I guess he's an aerospace engineer or something like that, and he's used to working with numbers but not people. That's just
that's the thing. He has like a clear misunderstanding of how libraries function. Like I get that he has a PhD, but so it's never a matter of him being unintelligent. It was his attempt to control what people should or should not be able to read that kind of showed the ignorance of like what he thought he could accomplish.
And it turned into a hot mess. So let's jump ahead here. I think we're probably going to do pretty much a show on this at some point. We'll see. Probably after the election, we can get some other people in here, maybe some winners or some losers. But let's jump ahead. Why? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. He just resigned because he had enough, or was it because of?
Well, I think it was the open door law. Like he resigned a couple hours after that open door policy. The response came back from the attorneys that Hamilton East did violate the open door law.
Okay, so he told me that when I actually asked him about that, he said, I wanted to meet at my house, but the attorneys told me that we need to meet in public because of that law. So the attorneys, maybe that's why they quit too.
Well, and that's part of it too, is, and that's, Tiffany may right the ship. I hope she does, like, as long as she's transparent about stuff. But that's one of those big things is, why did Barnes and Thornburg quit? What were all those fees really for that they talked about at the meeting and never, they couldn't say it out loud because of client attorney privilege? That's taxpayer money.
Yeah,
We're
no, I'm telling you, just one misstep after another, and the natives got very restless. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and I guess I don't blame them. I mean, I had a couple, a couple people that went over the top. I think we know who I'm talking about, but
yeah.
I
But I
you know
think a lot of them were very
frustrated.
respectful. But yeah, I think a lot of them were very respectful. Again, I think you see in every community that there are like the extreme
Oh yeah,
voices, and
yeah,
we're that's the thing, John. Like we're all Hoosiers. We all have to like get back to the point where we're all working together somehow on something. Um,
yeah,
I'm I'm
yeah.
just
So
getting
we'll
exhausted. Like,
see
reviewing this,
this.
it's exhausting. You seeing how
Oh
much time is put into all this stuff. It's like it's yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
draining.
it definitely polarizing. It was one of those things where I heard people talking and I heard people not listening, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a recipe for disaster. So, but I'm sure we'll cover some more of this, and it's you've covered it quite.
well, and
It's
John,
this is
thank
your
you for
job.
lending a voice. Yeah, thank you for lending a voice though too. That was, I mean,
Well,
regardless of, because you get into it with people and you will poke the bear a
I
lot.
do, and I'm like, that's my job to do this, and even a lot of those folks they know that I'm trying to do this for content for the show and all that, but I'm trying to be, show both sides,
Mhm.
and I was critical with Micah and the way he calls people names. I've been critical with Ray. I've been critical, not so much with Tiffany. I don't know how much she deserves, but I got no problem with with putting it out on both sides. But
No,
I
exactly. Yeah,
particularly got it back from the other side. They ignored all the things I said about the other things. It was all about me. Then they got personal. And then I realized, wow, I would never want to be on this library board. They will
yeah,
tar and feather you.
yeah. It's well, but I think what they were doing was like I don't know how you have that many attorneys already like resign. They had Barnes and Thornburg resign, but didn't like Ann Poindexter resigned because she thought what they were doing was infringing on the First Amendment.
When you have people that don't listen, it's hard to work for them. I mean,
Yeah,
I think anybody that works for anybody or that's worked with anybody, and you feel like you're not being listened to, especially when you're getting paid to give advice. My thing when I do counseling for people, I give them very good advice on how to get their life straightened out, and they do nothing but not follow it. And then they come back and try to say it's your fault. I'm like, wait a
yeah,
second, you didn't do what I told you to do. So yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. So, well, thanks for that update. And
yeah.
this
Thank you
is
for
like
letting me vent. So
yeah, that's
all right.
okay. Well, this is like a gift that just keeps on giving for our show, and I think that we'll see what happens. Happens next. So let's see. I'm gonna play. Let's see. I'm gonna do a shameless plug for my wife who's running for the city council here. She got a little commercial out about change, so we'll roll that, and then we're gonna have our guest on here. She's been patiently waiting backstage. So thanks, Brad. It's good to have you back. And let's get your questions ready for homesteading.
Change is the only constant. Change is an opportunity. It is a transformation. Change is in our nature. It is what drives us. Change is taking that one step to better ourselves and to better our community that is around us. I want to serve those who aren't being served. My story is that I am already doing the work. I am already serving my district. And before living out that level of service, I was an executive in human resources in Indianapolis with some of the most transformational organizations in this city. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Galleon Sports and Outdoor, and Napa Auto Parts. Leading big organizations like that and inspiring motivational leadership and change within them is what I bring to the city of Indianapolis. I want to know your story. Tell me, and then let me inspire change within our community. Lisa for Indy. Paid for by Lisa for Indy campaign.
All right, all right. It's funny. Her opponent put out a text message saying that anyone who supports Lisa is an extremist, And one of the people that got the text messages donated $250 to her. So I'm like, I guess that didn't work out for him. But anyway, I don't know if you're into politics, Rhonda, but it's
I mean, I have opinions, but I am not involved directly in politics. So
you're smarter than I look. So Rhonda, thanks for coming on the show. Sort of a short notice, and you have a little event coming up. We'll get to, but tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the founder of the Indiana Homesteading Conference, and I have a mixed background. I'm in my 60s, so I've been around a minute. I have a background in social work and for years, and then I also worked in business and was a marketing director for a behavioral health company. Now I work full time at the conference, kind of overseeing all of that. So this is our second year for the conference, and yeah, it's a great calling, I feel, to bring this information to people to help them. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's kind of, I've been married for 40 years this year, and I've got 3 grown kids and 1 grandbaby and 1 on the way. So,
wow, it's like it's funny how we get to. I'm in my 60s too. I know I look like I'm probably in my 40s, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how we sort of shift, around. I mean, I'm a bricklayer, but I'm doing hardly any of that anymore. No, I actually still have a company, but doing shows. And I was teaching crafts tonight at the art center for little kids. We did some clay and things, and we had a blast.
Nice.
We actually had a gal in there that was autistic, and her work was amazing. I got some pictures I want to show. I was like, it was just amazing the way she saw things and the way she did the art. And I was like, I was just sort of like a diamond in the rough type of thing. But, those are the type of things that I tell people I'm doing what I want to do and not what I have to do anymore. And that sounds like what you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to hear about this homesteading stuff. I think that, I got some urban chickens back there. I got a little garden. I got pears. I got blueberries. I got all this little stuff out there. So
good. Great.
I'm trying up here in the city. So as much as we can. But I'm going to be excited. And I know Lucy's going to be excited because she's like the queen of homesteading all of a sudden. But I kidded her about the preview video. Don't let her have any chickens because critters eat the chickens that she has. So she needs to tighten up that maximum security chicken coop.
Yeah.
So they don't get eaten. So it's tough. It's tough. Everything likes chicken, right? They all like it. Mm-hmm. So, well, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and play. We're going to play Small Talk. So, Rhonda, we do this segment called Small Talk. And this is Mark Small. Now, a lot of people accuse him of being a Democrat, but he's actually a Republican. He's just very left. He's like the old Goldwater Republican. He's a left-leaning Republican. So there is something like that out there. But he does this segment called Small Talk. He has a couple minutes every week, and he will give his opinion on the subject. And a lot of times it's very different. Sometimes it's right in line. So that's what we like about Mark, is that it's sometimes different. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to ask you another question because I don't have it downloaded yet. Okay. Go ahead and tell us about your conference this weekend and where it is and what it is and all that good stuff.
Okay. The conference will be located at the Marion County Fairgrounds, which is the fairgrounds east of town, kind of where I-74 and 465 come together, just south of that. We have a large event. We have 49 different speaker sessions that are available. And, well, there's a lot to it. So I don't know if you want me to go too much in depth.
How many speakers?
We have 49 different topics that are going to be presented on.
And how many speakers will do that? Do you have like 8 of them that rotate, or?
Nothing is repeated, but we probably have about 40 speakers.
Okay.
There are some people that are doing more than one topic. But in addition, we also have some intensive learning workshops that are longer, more in depth. So.
All right. Well, there's going to be a chicken plucking contest or anything like that, or?
Not a chicken plucking contest, but we do have some poultry processing stuff and all that. So
I think Lucy was telling me about something to spin the up or something or whatever. Does that work on? I got some grandkids. I'd like to run through that thing and straighten them
Oh, I don't think you'd want to do that.
well, they're tough kids. I mean, they're tough. They would probably laugh at the machine. So, but and you have pretty much the whole run of the place. So this is like a pretty big. How many people do you expect to come?
Well, it's kind of a guess. It's our second year. Last year we had about 600. This year we've sold about 1,400 tickets so far. So we're hoping this last few days will be, the ticket sales are increasing. So we're hoping we'll get,
I mean, you're on the Mouthwash talk show now. You're going to sell tickets. You'll probably sell 1,000 tickets by the morning from this. And by the way, we're going to give away a couple tickets to to some lucky person in the audience here. I don't know if I want to do this trivia or how we're going to get this done, but you guys, if you stick around the show at the end, we're going to give away a couple tickets to this thing and tell them what the value is on this. And you got some other side things you can go to, like a hog roast and things. Talk a little bit about what that will give you. What do they get with these tickets?
These standard like conference tickets, weekend passes, come with 49 different topic options to choose from. Each day there are 5 breakout sessions with speakers, and you get 5 topic choices for each breakout. So there's 5 sessions per day for the 2 days. That's 10 sessions, and you get plenty of options to choose from. So that's what comes with a standard conference pass admission ticket. In addition, we do have some more intensive learning opportunities. We've got Sean and Beth Doherty, who are really well known across the nation for homesteading training, and they've written books and so forth. So they are going to be training newer homesteaders on how to start a homestead. And you'll go home with a field guide and a 15-page outline that you actually work through during the session to plan based on your own specific situation, how to start your homestead. And
wow. I mean,
in addition,
there's more.
Yeah, there's more. In addition, we've got a poultry processing workshop with Joel Salatin, who's nationally known in the homesteading world. He teaches on rotational grazing, regenerative farming techniques, all sorts of things. He's even spoken in Congress. He's written many books. So we could talk more about that too. But and then we also have a rabbit processing workshop. And
is Elmer Fudd leading that one?
No, he's not. We also have a gal who has an apothecary, a natural apothecary in Indianapolis. She's teaching on medicinal uses of herbs, and you get to actually make medicinal vinegars to take home with you. Those are the additional, more intensive trainings where you get to take something home with you. And in addition, we have some demonstrations of a variety of things on campus, just short little demos. Like we have a gal who has a loom that she's bringing on weaving, and we have some fiber animals. We have a lot of live animals. We have a kids carnival on campus. We've got junior homesteaders training classes. Anyway, there's a lot of fun things. We have the hog roast and hootenanny on Saturday night. So it's we're actually having a hog roast, and we've got hundreds of people coming to that.
Yeah, well, I always say hog roasts are fun for everybody but the hog. So
yeah, there you go. But we have a band, a bluegrass band called Backwoods Bluegrass, and they're really good. So that'll be fun too for the hog roast event. So.
Wow, it sounds like you have done a lot of work here, and I'm going to encourage our viewers. And as I say, we have a few live viewers during the show, which are going to be lucky to get some tickets tonight. But then we have a lot of people that will listen to this as a podcast during the week. And so we're going to hope for some good things. And I want to make my way out there. I got to see this. But I want to.
Really should.
I'm going to come out. I really want to see what the questions are and the answers before I commit to anything. I want to make sure that I'm not getting any trouble out there. So I think we are ready for small talk. It's downloaded. That's one good thing about being the producer. Sometimes you miss things. So we're going to listen to small talk, and then the band of Gypsy panel's coming on, and we're going to grill you. You'll be on the hot seat. You'll do great. You'll do great. Yeah. So here you go. Here's Mark Small and Small Talk.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. Homesteading is an interesting phenomenon. There are different ways that people approach it. Some do it from a political kind of thing. Other people do it on a personal level. They just want to get away from people putting crap in their food. An important thing to understand, though, is that it's difficult to get away from large corporations, especially in agribusiness. There have been instances in which agribusinesses that license their product to be planted in the ground can sue people on adjoining properties that didn't want their product to begin with, but because bees and other insects don't understand that pollination is a corporate entity's property, they just do what they do. Now, here are the problems that you face. One is, what's a corporation? It's a piece of paper, basically, that has authority and it can do things. You can't really punish it. You're going to put it in prison. In Bhopal, India, United Carbide killed about 4,000 people when poison gas was blown out of one of their plants, and there wasn't anybody put in jail. It's a corporation. So when you're talking about food, and we are eating things that have chemicals in them or have been artificially modified because they can grow bigger and faster, it's really tough to tell what's in it. Now, I appreciate the fact that people are growing their own stuff. It's important to know that. It's important to have food that's good, that's pure, that's clean. Water the same way. Air, all those things are important for life. When it comes to food and looking what's in the food, just realize corporations have their hands in it. We don't know who runs those corporations or who owns them. Mark Small, Small Talk. Peace.
All right. So I don't know what's in that food. It's a bunch of preservatives and pesticides, I think. So let's get our guest of the hour out here, Rhonda Fowler. And look, Rhonda, you're fortunate. We have our original sort of crew on this. We call this the election crew because Jordan Davis is filling in for somebody who's running for office. There's a 60-day rule. They cannot be on the panel. They can be guests, but they can't be on the panel 60 days out from the election. So we're missing somebody. But Jordan, he's very good at stepping in and filling in. And it looks like he's getting ready to get on an airplane and go somewhere. He's flying in for the conference. He's going to give a conference on goats. I heard that he's really good, knows a lot about goats. So anyway, speaking of, let's go top to bottom here. Lucy, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you, Rhonda, for agreeing to be our guest because this is a wild and crazy crew.
You got that right. Now, Jordan, how's it going there, United?
Hey, guys, it's going pretty good. Coming back. The wings are not tired, but I'm good.
All right. Well, keep flapping. All right, Brad, pay attention.
I would have written down questions.
Oh, you're right now. Watch out, Rhonda.
Can I ask my first question?
Yeah. We'll let you go first. Let me get Rhonda back out here. Well, first of all, how are you? And tell us how the Fish concert went.
Oh, Fish concerts were amazing. Friday night in Nashville was the best, probably, I think. I went to Friday, Saturday, Sunday night in Nashville, and then Tuesday and Wednesday in Dayton. I missed Chicago, but I would have been like dead if I would have made it there somehow. So I was happy to just rest. So
we just wanted somebody to fill in for one show, not the rest of your non-life. So we're glad you made it. Yeah, that sounds good. So one question, do they play, is it the same sets every night or do they mix it up?
No. They didn't play the same song at all. Like any of the 5 shows. They, Sunday night, I think it was Sunday night, they went into Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young. And like, they hadn't played that in like 5 years or so. So we were all everyone was going nuts. It was, yeah.
So do you like know a bunch of people that follow around too? Is this like, your posse?
Yeah. Well, sort of like I made a lot of friends that I'm never going to see again. Like,
well, they won't borrow things from you. You got that.
No. Yeah. That was the funny thing too, is like, Bridgestone Arena just comes out onto Broadway in Nashville. So there was like Fish fans and then all of a sudden Bachelorette Central. And there were like, I saw every once in a while, there had to be like 6 cowboy hats on girls, and this gust of wind would come, and all the hats would get blown off at the same time, and I was just dying laughing. It was a great time. So,
oh, yeah, I guess that's a bachelorette stronghold there to do that.
yes.
And you never know, you might run into Kenny Chesney or Dolly Parton or somebody else there. So, all right, cool. So let's get our guest out here. And Brad, since you were goofing around vacation last week, fire out that first question.
All right. So, my sister-in-law has wanted a goat for a long time, and I need to know what to tell my brother so he can not have a goat.
This is supposed to be pro goat show, not like no goat show.
But that kind of leads into like
a way to hinder her
because
from
like
getting
I'm wondering
goats.
about laws with animals because they live they don't live in the city, but they have neighbors, and I can't imagine that like a free range goat would be okay.
You typically don't free range your goats, but I haven't had goats for years. When I was a kid growing up, we had goats, but every municipality is different in terms of what they allow for animals. So you really need to check with your local, whatever jurisdiction you're in to see what the rules are for animals. It's kind of surprising though, because in Indianapolis proper, you're actually allowed to have chickens. And a lot of people don't know that, or in some towns, it really depends, like much smaller towns sometimes limit chickens or other animals. But I think I've heard of people even in Indianapolis having goats, but I'm sure there are limitations,
yeah, if you get caught, that's what the limitation is. Brad, my
Oh,
suggestion
is
is
it?
yeah. Well, they had goats across the street here and nobody ever said anything. So I was like, don't ask, don't tell about the
Are
goats.
you sure? Are you sure that they're not allowed? I mean, I know in some parts of the city animals are allowed. I just don't know.
Well, they are because we have horses and just down in Decatur, our banjo music township of Indianapolis, Marion County, and they're good. But Brad, my suggestion to you is tell your brother that it's against the law. Just say, hey, it's against the law.
No, I think that's what he's been relying on this whole time. So now I'm just.
It's probably not. It's you can have. I'll tell you a quick. My goat story was I had somebody talk me into buying some goats. It was a friend of mine. He actually bought the sale barn later, but he was a big goat seller. He took goats all over the place. Oh, you need to get some goats. They'll eat all your weeds. Well, I didn't have the right fence for goats. And about the 18th time they went to my neighbor's house and ate their flowers, I decided it was time for them to go back to the sale barn. And then the day I was going to go get them, they were gone, and I had to go track them down. And so that's my goat story. So you could tell him that story, Brad, and that'll scare him straight. So,
yeah. See, but my sister-in-law, she'll be like, no, but that won't happen with this one. Like that would be.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, okay. All right. Jordan, since you deal in goats, what do you think about that? You got a question for Rhonda?
I do have a question for Rhonda. So, Rhonda, the millennial age group, is going to have a really hard time affording doing homesteading. With the current inflation and the current cost of living, and with the GOP not opening up any budget to help the middle class out, how on earth do us folks who are disappearing slowly into society afford to do a homestead? How much are we talking? Just to start off, bare numb.
Yeah, I think one thing that is a misunderstanding about homesteading activities is that you have to have a lot of land. In reality, like one thing we really encourage is urban homesteading and using small spaces to grow a lot of food. There's an interesting video out there that's been around, for several years. It's the DeVries family. They're in California, but they were a family of 4, and they raised all their own food on 1/10 of an acre lot in town. And they actually pushed, to see how many pounds of food they could grow in a year. And, 1 year they grew 7,000 pounds of food on 1/10 of an acre. And so people don't realize that there's a lot of practices. People think big ag, when they think about farming or homesteading, but in reality, you can do a lot even in your own home. Like one of the classes that we have is on raising microgreens. And one rack in your house, you can grow a lot of food. Growing microgreens are extremely nutritious. With a rack of four racks with lights, you can do so many 10 by 20 trays of microgreens. You can constantly feed your family greens if you grow microgreens in a small space. And that's just one thing you can do. There are so many things that you can do in small spaces. We
So
really
how much would you?
encourage people. Yeah.
Sorry. So how much would you say if we had to put a price point on it? Say that I'm fresh out of college, I have student loans, $92,000. You know, wife's having a baby, brand new. We're wanting to buy a property. Indianapolis is around 147,000 in the worst neighborhoods. So we decide we want to move out somewhere near Worthington, Indiana, or maybe we might look north near Attica, Indiana, for instance. So we got best of both worlds. We're looking to buy the property. Now, when we get to the point of buying that property and wanting to homestead, how much does the homesteading alone cost? So that way it kind of gives the audience an idea of what number we're working with.
I think that that's so varied depending on what you want to do. And like I said, you really don't have to have land out in the country. You know, you can grow food in town. And, you know, we encourage people to have raised beds, to grow things close together, not these far spaced out rows. You can grow a lot of food in a very compact area. Some people grow food in, you know, pots and so forth. And it really does vary depending on what county you're going to, how much land costs. But you don't have to buy a large property. You can raise all your own food on a town lot. You really can.
So what I'm hearing, you know, the lighting with LED lighting it's a lot more efficient with lighting. Is that one of the, you know, I hear Jordan's, you know, is this going to cost a lot on my electric bill? Is this going to cost a lot in pots and dirt and all that?
How much am I spending?
All of that stuff.
I think that, I mean, I have done some of that myself. I'm not an expert on microgreens. There's like probably 100 different topics or interests that you can get involved in homesteading. I mean, you know, you can buy used materials, honestly, you know, a lot of times at sales and so forth to get set up. If you just have an inexpensive shelf and, you know, the lights that you can get, there's a variety of different ones. Some will grow certain kinds of things, but you can buy very inexpensive lights that will grow greens, you know. And, you know, there's different ones. You can buy those ones that are pink lights that aren't a certain spectrum and so forth, but you don't have to have those to grow just plain old greens.
So is this something that, you know, I would just suggest to Jordan that if he's a good guesser, I think that how we're going to give out these tickets is I'm going to have people guess in that. Not yet. Don't guess, viewers in the audience. You're going to guess a number between 1 and 100 and whoever gets closest. Don't guess right now. We're going to do it later. But I guess you should come to the show, to the conference this weekend, because this is stuff that you'll be able to figure out at the conference.
Yeah, right? And they will. We do have somebody that's in depth on microgreens. We have someone, I mean, that, you know, there's just so many topics. You know, you can make your own maple syrup, you know, from your maple trees. You can learn how to find wild edible foods. People don't realize how many just wild weeds that are around that are extremely nutritious, sometimes more nutritious than the food that you grow in your garden. Lamb's quarters is one, extremely nutritious, and it produces so many seeds. You can save those seeds to grow your own microgreens, you know. There's just a lot of things people can do that they have no idea that's available to them. We've gotten so far away from this knowledge base in our society. You know, my mom was born in 1926 in the hills of Tennessee, and grew up at the end of the Depression. And you know, in her family, you know, for one thing, you know, all of her dad, her uncles and everybody, they lived to be about 100 years old or so. But they grew their own food. I mean, they you know, they worked hard, but they didn't have access to all, you know, every store on every corner and everything. So there's a lot of skill base that we're losing as a society. And that's something that I have a sense of calling toward, is help people learn these skills that are being lost. And actually it's interesting because the younger people are kind of tired of the plastic society that we've been living in. They're really tired of the rat race, fast pace. They kind of like playing with a chicken. and not, and instead of,
That's
being
therapy
on their
for us.
phone all the time. But the thing that's interesting is these kids, like, they want to learn, but they don't even know where to start. They don't have mentors. They don't have a community built up around these issues. And we not only want to teach these skills, like I said, we have 49 different topics, unique topics that we're teaching on, but one of our emphasis is on building community and developing mentors that can serve in their communities. For years, I've taught canning classes and gardening classes and things like this in my community. Now, I have my own set of interests. You could pick 1,000 different things that you're interested in. Personally, I'm interested in permaculture, growing kind of a perennial food crop where, and using plants that actually produce food in your yard instead of just plants that look pretty. You can find pretty plants that actually are food producers. Anyway, all I'm saying is there are people out there in this community that want to serve as mentors. And it's such a positive bunch of people. Like, you would be surprised at how many just neat, down-to-earth people there are in this movement who really want to help people, who want to learn. They kind of want to return to
simpler times
way of life, to some degree. I mean, it's not like you're on easy street when you're out sweating and, you're working in the garden and things like this, but there's something different about it, though, that you're connecting to something real in the earth and the way things were created. And I think people are longing for some of those things. And I feel like a lot of them don't know, where to find the teaching that they need to reach their goals.
And that's why you have a conference. So hold on a second before anybody goes, because it's Lucy's turn. And, it's like, Linda says, I love how enthusiastic Lucy is about this subject. I need a good book recommendation. So Lucy, I can see your brains rattling. You've been shaking your head up and down so much here. So Lucy, you have the floor.
Hey, thank you. And Rhonda, thank you again for coming. I want to get out there that the website is indianahomesteadingconference.com. So if you haven't gone to indianahomesteadingconference.com, open up another browser window. You will be blown away at the quality of people that Rhonda has put in here. And as far as a book recommendation goes, our keynote speaker is Joel Salatin, Salatin. He calls himself the lunatic libertarian Christian farmer, and those adjectives may or may not be in order. This man is actually a trained journalist. That's what he did in college, and he is a prolific writer. The very first book that I read of his was Everything I Want to Do is Illegal, and that was about raising backyard chickens.
Growing.
Yep, and I picked up so many of his, for my own collection, like Pastured Poultry Profits. One of the things, and I'd like to speak to this, and feel free to interrupt me at any time, Rhonda, but what Jordan says is the cost for doing this can be very, very small or very, very large. It really just depends upon your outlook. I've got a rather large family and we love yogurt. So I get those big, 32-ounce things of yogurt. You can literally put dirt in that, throw some seeds in it, put it on your windowsill and grow yourself some microgreens. So you can literally do this for free. You can go to nurseries, especially people that plant trees. They end up with 1 and 3 and 5 gallon pots that they can't reuse because they're not growing baby plants. They will give you those for free. Then you just need to make sure that you've got some good dirt. You should be taking your kitchen scraps and, and composting those, which, by the way, is super simple. Mother Nature does it without turning any piles. I just throw mine in a pile and just let it go. But the thing that is the coolest thing I think about Joel Salatin is how accessible he makes everything. This is a guy who is at Polyface Farms. I think it's .com, Polyface Farms, Farm of Many Faces. And he really drills down to what is wrong with our current food system and what needs to change. So his skill, and I don't know if you hit upon this too, Rhonda, is the lack of permanent infrastructure, which gets rid of the need to build permanent infrastructure. So, if you build a chicken house with 20,000 chickens, then the biggest thing you're going to be exporting is toxic residue into the environment because it's all concentrated, this CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding organizations. And so what Joel does instead of, investing $100,000 in a glorified pole barn, is he does chicken tractors. So he's got a chicken tractor that one person can move, and you can literally make these yourself with scrap wood and bicycle parts and stuff you can find on Craigslist for free. You can put 50 chickens in those things and literally lift it up, almost like what do they call that in Asia where they have the
rickshaw
thing
or something?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like a rickshaw.
Yeah,
and then you just move forward, another 50 or 100 feet, and then your chickens are eating in your yard. So if you've got a big yard,
Joel teaches a lot on rotational grazing and building the soil. A lot of our practices these days really rob the soil instead of building it over time. And a lot of this uses animals and the natural process of what the earth does naturally by, using the animal waste and so forth. And we need that. There was a study I read where someone took animals, and they're talking about like trying to get rid of animals because they're causing global warming with their farts or something. I mean, honestly, there's so many.
My husband.
There's in reality, like animals regenerate the earth. I mean, it's a natural process. And before humans expanded and tore down so many trees and built, all of these parking lots, animals were everywhere. Animals were prolific, and they were going to the bathroom, just like cows do. And it wasn't hurting anything. As a matter of fact, I read this study I started to say, where they took animals on the edge of a desert, and they ran them and fed them in those areas. So they were there, and they went to the bathroom there and everything. And it built the soil, and it transformed that land to healthy land. And we need animals. So the problem is big ag does not, it's some man-made weird system that isn't natural in nature. And if you return to nature's way of doing things and regenerating the soil, feeding the soil, it's very different than big ag. Like, sure, I mean, I guess, big ag, does create a lot of problems. And I'm not hitting on the farmers because they're kind of stuck in this system. I think it takes a lot of complicated things to kind of work our way away from these things. But the biggest thing is grassroots. If people learn to grow their own food, and they are less dependent people, they're not dependent on these big systems. And then we can move away from those things that are damaging. So that's something we really want to encourage, is that people become more involved with their own food and, eat locally. What's more local than your backyard, of course. But, if you're not doing that in your windowsill or in your backyard, then you can, go to farmers markets potentially and help encourage local food. And one of the things, and here I could talk about this for 10 hours. So, I don't want to, take up too much time. But, one of the things we really need to consider is, having our food be closer to where we live. A lot of our food is moved 3,000 miles away. I think I saw a statistic one time, and I could be wrong, but it was a big number, that like 70% of our food comes from California and Florida. Like, it travels thousands of miles, and we burn fuel carrying that food to these grocery stores. Let's try to encourage as much as we can. And I think top-down changes aren't as effective as people being inspired to do something, to start growing their own or helping their neighbor. Maybe they don't have a big, backyard, but maybe there's an empty lot 2 blocks down, or maybe their neighbor is, 85 and can't do anything in their yard, but they would love it if you would go over and maybe grow something. So I think that some of this aspect is building community and helping people kind of be inspired that there's actually a different way to live that isn't, people don't see a way toward it sometimes because they haven't experienced it. But in reality, there really are different ways to live that are very effective, and they work very well. And we can do these things. It's just a lot of times people's views are very closed off, and they've never seen it happen before. And that's something that, with bringing all these people together with the conference, is very helpful, because you see like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could build a trellis out of that. That's super easy and cheap. Or, wow, look, this person says they're growing microgreens on a, a $10 rack, and they're able to, make, grow food for themselves. Or, gosh, I didn't know that there's like hundreds of weeds I can eat, that actually you can make medicine out of, like the Indians did, or, for thousands of years, people relied on these things very commonly, and they lived according to the seasons, and they grew their food and they preserved it. So there's so many things that people can get inspired to do that they never realized was even an option for them.
Yeah,
we could listen to you for 10 hours. Seriously.
Yeah, the contrast is great. Rhonda, we had John Rust on Rose Acres. 21 million chickens they have. 18 million eggs a day. This is quite a contrast from that huge, endeavor to, hey, do it yourself. I get 4 eggs a day out of my 4 chickens. I got to sell them. I get so many. It's like, it's amazing. I got a little garden out there that it's just amazing how much you can make with just by doing this. And I have, and I enjoy it. It's like my getaway from the rat race. So, this is very interesting. It's very interesting. I'm going to put another question up here from our audience. We do that at times. And let's see if I can find it. I had it. And now I might've lost it, but let's see.
I just really want to encourage people to start where you are and talk with your neighbor. I started to learn canning from my next door neighbor, and she had a neighbor that at the end of the season had too many tomatoes and gave them to us for free. And so we were able to, and I had some jars. So, the 3 of us, we all made salsa happen.
Yeah. So here's our question. I found it, and you know what? You need a little segment called "Looky." Brad's got all these books.
I brought all the library books. We had like homesteading.
Yeah,
honestly, hey, same thing. Go to your guys' library. We have 2 plots in our community garden. We do a garden club. Like Rhonda, like you said, like kids don't always know, like that this is an option. People don't know that living a certain way is an option. Like people don't know that not living the way everyone else does is an option. Like you hit that on the head.
I'm going to encourage you. All the people put your books in the chat after the show. You can go back and you can put that into because we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook is where most of our folks watch. So you can put those books in there. Lucy does this on a general basis. It's very informational. You need a segment called Homestead Hacks, that just teaches you these little bitty things. So that's just my gift for you, Homestead Hacks. So,
there are actually a lot of resources out there that people don't realize are there. One thing I just want to mention is for the state of Indiana, there are several groups related to homesteading. On Facebook, there's a group called Homesteaders of Indiana. There are 31,000 people in the Homesteaders of Indiana Facebook group. And actually, it's on a how do I say that? A severe rise. How do I say that? Increase.
Meteoric.
Meteoric. Thank you. Rise. At the end of August last year, there were 13,500 people in that group. Now there are over 31,000 people in that group.
Wow.
So crazy. If you have an idea of how this community is just really growing, I think that's one, anecdotal example.
Yeah, I know that, we had chickens here. Now every neighbor has chickens that were around us. So let's get to the question from Linda Morrison. What about beekeeping and homesteading? Is that harder than it looks?
Beekeeping, I haven't done. I've done some research into it. I'm actually pretty interested in doing it, and I have friends who do it and so forth. I think that a lot of people have had challenges with it because there are some issues with like some mites and some different things that attack the bees. But I know some people do very well with it. And I know that one thing I'm interested in is looking into kind of some natural beekeeping approaches. I think that some of the ways that we have bred bees over the years to be extremely high producers of honey may have weakened them to some degree. So I know some people are working on that issue. It can be expensive to do beekeeping, though. It really can.
Yeah, Jordan would be asking that question, but in the springtime, the hive will split, and every once in a while you'll see one out and they'll be swarming. And then what they'll do is they'll get like the size of a basketball, just like all bees. And I've literally taken a drywall box and scraped them off in the box because I had a beekeeper and got them into the hive. I've gotten 2 that way, but I have not seen too many of these recently like that. But if you can see them, they're supposed to be very, very easy to get in a box. I only got stung once.
It's very common for them to split around Mother's Day.
Oh, that is Mother's Day. The Queen.
Really
long live the Queen. Long live the Queen.
There's a homesteading channel that I watch on YouTube, which is Doug and Stacy, that homestead, I think in Missouri or Arkansas. But long story short, Missouri, they actually did a video years ago about why buy bees. Just go capture a swarm.
Very commonly around Mother's Day. But getting some of the supplies and so forth, can be somewhat expensive. There are people that are beekeepers though, that maybe want places to put their bees, and then they'll share their honey with you. So there are some options to get involved. I think it's something that you probably should be trained on. And by the way, at the Indiana Homesteading Conference, we have classes on beekeeping, if people are interested in looking into that. And you can make some really good contacts there because we have all these companies that are involved in doing these sorts of things that you can learn from and find out about what kind of supplies you need and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Lucy, your version just sounds like you're stealing bees from God.
No,
no.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Brad. You figured it out. So hold on a second. We got we're about 56 minutes into the show here, and Adam asks, Lucy, do you have a question? I don't even have to do it anymore. Now, Rhonda, I'll tell you, Lucy will sometimes go, and then never ask a question. Yeah, but it's okay. That's what we love.
Let me ask a legitimate question.
Okay,
Rhonda, what is the easiest way for people to register for the conference this weekend? And if for some reason they can't come, is there a way that they can stay in touch with you? Maybe a newsletter, or get in touch with people in their area through your organization?
The way to buy your tickets is to go to TicketLeap, and you can search us there. Or if you just go to our website, we have a page that describes all the different ticket types that are available. And then there's a link on there to go to TicketLeap to purchase them.
And what's that URL?
IndianaHomesteadingConference.com. Just our name, with .com.
And then do you have a newsletter that
we do not have a newsletter, but we are very active on Facebook. So the easiest way really to keep up is to follow us on Facebook.
Newsletters are so corporate. That's what corporations do. See, we're homesteading here. It's word of mouth. It's like, what's your neighbor saying? It's not newsletter stuff. Come on.
Let me get out the old party line.
Yeah, that's right. Pull the string tighter on the cans. I can't hear you. So
now I have a feeling Brad has questions because he was writing stuff down before we started.
He's got it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't know too. For the conference, are there one-day tickets available?
There are. You can either get a weekend pass or a Saturday only or a Sunday only.
And which day is the hog roast?
Saturday evening. We have a great band called the
Bluegrass
Band.
Yeah.
And so they're a lot of fun. They're really good.
What time is that? Hey, Brad, we should have the Mouthwash crew go out there Saturday afternoon.
There you go. Yeah.
I think I got to work this weekend. I was honestly, I was really hoping
I'm free.
Go there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Jordan could go. He's got to watch the library. You could get Ray Madone to come in for you. He ain't doing nothing.
Listen, I already sent an email to Ray a long time ago asking him if he wanted to talk about anything.
That was mean but funny. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ray. I didn't mean to do that to you.
Well, in Rhonda, is there I love cheese. So is there like cheese making?
Me too.
Are there cheese making classes?
There are not cheese making classes this year, but that's one on our list that we want to do next year. Yeah, and cheese is actually pretty easy. You wouldn't make a very sophisticated cheese, but you could. I've made cheese before, just like farmer cheese, and all you do is like heat up your milk and put either lemon juice or vinegar in it.
You're saying I couldn't make a sophisticated cheese, or like none of us could?
No, you probably need to be a little more sophisticated to make a really good cheese. As far as like, Sorry.
That's all right. You take that. You know what? I cut the cheese on occasion, but what the deal is here, this is, Thor asked, where is this conference? Because he probably joined us late. This is at the Marion County Fairgrounds, Thor, because, and it's right. I know you're from Indy, so you can just bop on down there, go get your tickets, bop on down there. And that is, you just head out southeastern. You can't miss the Marion County Fairgrounds. It's right there by 74 and 465, right there on the eastest side. And we hope that we see some people out there. So, but hey, if you've just tuned in, I see we have a few viewers on here. We're going to do guess the number between 1 and 100. Let's go ahead and do that now. Guess the number between 1 and 100 in the thing. We'll give you a few minutes here as we talk. And then whoever gets closest to the number that I've written down on this paper, then
Wait, we get to guess too, John? Or is this?
No, Brad, you don't get a guest. You're on the show. Come on. What do you think this is, WIBC?
I still want to beat all of the guests. Like, I still want to win. It's not like a...
Yeah, you're getting paid big bucks to be on this show. You can afford to do it. Anybody can afford to go to fish for 5 days. You fork out the money for this conference. So, look, we got some guests coming in here. We got some guests coming in. That's good.
Another thing, John, the fact that I was like, I thought I was going to come in and still be the biggest hippie on the show, but no, I'm not near. Yeah, holy crap!
I know. Yeah, you got a long way to go. Yeah. Lucy's an overachiever. And,
hey, Brad, I'm always going to trump you because I've given birth to 10 kids naturally with not even an asprin. So you'll never be as dirty.
Yeah.
I had cold one time. It put me down for like 2 days. That's about all I got.
Oh, you're killing me. This is we got a real tough crowd here. I don't know if you'll be able to handle this homesteading stuff, Brad. You might break a fingernail or something doing it.
Who do you think runs the gardening club? Like, at the
we grow
is tomatoes. Awesome, Brad. Thank you. We grow tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. This is like our 3rd or 4th year doing it. It's and it's just something that we offer that is there. It's not always taken up by everybody, but it's I think it's important for the library, especially as like a member of the community, just to keep offering things.
I think the library it's more than just books. It is it is a place for information and
that's another thing too, is we've had requests from people about beekeeping. I mean, like, people do especially in my town. I know that we have at least 3 kind of freelance beekeepers that like if people need honey, like, they'll get on Facebook and like what's happening in Alexandria and ask a question, and they'll have like 4 or 5 people pop up. It's really nice. So.
It's all about connecting, and it sounds like we're going to be able to connect with a lot of homesteaders this weekend at the Marion County Fairgrounds, and that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yes. No, Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. Don't show up Friday because you'll be mad at me.
You show up Friday, I'm putting your butt to work.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to probably do that. Okay. So I see guesses. Brad, I'll let you go ahead and guess, Brad. Put it in the thing. I'll wait a second here till I'll let you guess.
I have to join the chat. No, it's not even worth it. No, because I have to connect.
I can do it for you. Here, you tell me your number. I'll put it in there.
Well, 14.
Okay. 14. There's Brad's number. I put it in there for you. Okay. Yeah. I got news for you. You're not going to
way off. All right.
You're not going to believe this, but somebody has exactly guessed the number in the group.
Of course they do.
And I think this person is really going to enjoy these tickets. So here's the number. I don't know if you can see it, but I wrote it down earlier. 88. And it looks like who put down 88?
Hey, Linda Morrison.
Look at that. That's crazy. I was going to pick 13 because I was 13 on Friday the 13th in 1974, but that would have been too easy. And Brad, you would have won. So I'm glad I picked 88. Sorry.
Sorry, Brad, you're a loser.
We had several close ones, but 88 got it. So Linda, you need to send your email address to mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com. And I will send that over to you because it's really cool how they do the tickets. Rhonda sent them to me and I can give them to somebody else. So that's how it works. And I think you'll enjoy this thing and out there. So Rhonda, this has been Very good show. Very good show. I'm ready to go out and plant something tonight in my garden. I know most everything's dead except the red raspberries. They keep on. And then I also had this Carolina Reaper pepper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what they were. This somebody gave me these pepper plants to grow, and so I'm out there tasting them to see which ones are which.
Oh no.
You can ask my wife. I took a little teeny bite of that Carolina Reaper, and I still taste it. That thing was burning me alive. So yeah, and
They're
then
brutal.
Who needs something that hot? What do you do with something like that? You grind
You
it up
make
and put it in your
bear spray.
enemies. You make what?
You make bear spray out of it. You don't eat it.
Yeah.
Oh, now you tell me. Yeah, that's not good to know. Good to know. So yeah, at least it wasn't a ghost pepper. I guess they're worse or something like that. But anyway, hey Rhonda, we're going to thank you for coming on. We do the tinfoil. We do the conspiracy theory coming up here, and you can stick around for it if you like. It's always fun to see what people have here. Lucy's always got a conspiracy fact, so that's always worth knowing because it's just a matter of time before it comes true. That's what we do. So, but you won't be on the hot seat anymore. You'll be out. It'll be like a normal person like us. So here I got.
Oh, okay.
Notice everybody's laughing there. But I didn't warn you about the preview. But here's the preview. This gives us a chance to get our little tinfoil hats on or not on or whatever. So here you go. Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory. So you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week. Okay, let's get everybody in order here.
Best I can do.
The best you can do. Oh yeah, you're not at the house, and we got the bunny ear. So yeah, I'll give you guys credit for this. So this is the conspiracy theory. This does not go on Channel 40 because I don't want to be, we don't want people to think we're crazy on this show.
Gonna put up the banner, the sliding banner.
Oh yeah, hold on, because we have this on here. This makes it all legal. The legal team said that's good for you there. So you put that on there. So well, let's start with our all-star. Let's start with Lucy for Liberty tonight. Status or anarchist, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
It means you don't believe in statistics?
Well, not the kind that Bill Gates comes up with.
Well, do tell.
I was thinking about how Maya Angelou says, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. The first
I had somebody tell me that this week on Twitter, so I don't know what that really means.
I love her. Oh my gosh, she's what an amazing gift to humanity. Anyway, I'm going to just kind of tie into what Mark Small said because what he said is absolutely true. He just very lightly touched on, and this is something you can certainly learn about as a homesteader, is the problem with GMOs, genetically modified organisms. And there's a lot of confusion in the science. People want you to believe that hybrids are genetically modified organisms, and they're not, strictly speaking. So if you take a yellow corn and a white corn, you end up with a bicolor corn, yellow and white kernels at the same time.
That's what I get.
Yeah, exactly.
Jackpot.
And through the years, humans have selected plants because they taste great, or this tomato was bigger, this tomato was meatier, this one was better. And so if you look at broccoli 1,000 years ago versus what it is now, it's very different. And so people like Bill Gates will try to confuse you and tell you that this is wonderful and that it's GMO, and the fact is no, that's just selection, that's hybridization. The opposite of that, if those of you who are old enough to remember, is the Flavor Saver tomatoes, which was really the first commercial experiment with GMOs to see if people would accept them. And of course, they were, I don't know if you know this, they actually inserted genes from a mosquito in order to have a stronger envelope, a stronger skin on the tomato so they wouldn't bruise, so they'd look nice. The problem is they didn't save any flavor. They actually tasted terrible. So they never got any commercial application. So one of the things, and ties back to what Mark was talking about, is the fact, and this is conspiracy fact. Like, this is already, I almost hate to say conspiracy theory because it isn't. There's actually been cases that have gone to the Supreme Court, even here in Indiana, to our Supreme Court, that underlie the fact that the whole idea is you can't patent life, right? God created life. You have to create something new. So this is why, the herb goat's rue, you extract that down and you get something out of it and you turn it into a drug called metformin. So, you can get goat stew on Amazon for $30 a month, or you can give, the manufacturer metformin $700 a month, right? But you're only getting one molecule instead of the whole herb. Well, when they did this with GMOs and they patent something, like they patent Roundup Ready corn, the problem is that wind and, as Mark Small said, insects carry that over, and agents of the companies that own these patents actually will go into the field of farmers who are nearby. They will grab plant material, and of course, you would have called that trespassing until laws were passed in favor of the big agricultural companies who hold these patents to allow this sort of nonsense to happen. But they'll go in there and they'll grab it, and if they find their intellectual property in your garden, they will sue you. And they have won for you stealing their intellectual property, when in reality, it was a trespass. You have had your property violated and tainted by their stuff. And there was the second thing with the GMOs that you're not supposed to do is you're not supposed to save seeds and then reuse them. And so there was a farmer up here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he was growing soybeans, and he didn't commercially sell or anything. He just kept some of those soybean seeds and then bred them just to feed his cows or something. And he ended up getting taken to court. There was also a famous case of a canola oil farmer up in Canada who had for 60 years worked on this hybrid. And he was really famous for having bred this hybrid. Rapeseed, by the way, is what canola oil comes from. But they're not going to call it rapeseed oil because that just doesn't sound good, right? So
no, we don't want it.
Yeah, so Canadian oil, canola sounds a lot better. But anyway, he's been fighting for years, and I haven't checked recently to see what that is. So this is conspiracy. So here's where the real conspiracy comes in. Clarence Thomas.
Well, that's like a turducken.
He used to work for Monsanto. So when it came to be that the Supreme Court was hearing can you put a patent on life? Can they patent Roundup Ready seeds, for example? It was Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court that made sure that went through, because that was a company that he worked for years. So this goes back to the conspiracy fact of the revolving door between government and industry. So that's the whole thing in a very, very large nutshell.
It's a GMO nutshell. It had to be expanded to get it all in there. That's for sure. So, hey, before we go to the next person, I actually was able to load this little deal up here. This is the map legend for the deal this weekend. So there you go. You can see the Indiana Homesteading Conference, and you got a kids carnival and food trucks and all this stuff out there. So it's going to be fun times. So there you go. I was able to get that loaded.
I might just throw in too, I forgot to mention that we have a big bookstore, a 6,000 square foot bookstore there with all sorts of homesteading things in Building 8. That is the Mother Earth News bookstore. So that'll be kind of a little fun add-on that I kind of forgot to mention. So
that's incredible. And will Joel Salatin sign his book while he's there? Didn't he just come out with a new one?
Yes, we are having a book signing both Saturday and Sunday with him.
Wow, that's cool. Well, and we lost Jordan. Somehow the internet connection went south. I think a GMO got it or whatever. So at least you, Brad, what do you got you got some kind of
White Sox related? No,
nothing. Okay.
Well, I wanted to touch on, Lucy talked about Mark and small talk tonight, and honestly, that just depressed the hell out of me. It just reminded, like, Mark was like, hey, we're like 3 steps away from Soylent Green. That's kind of the vibe that I got from him. And then he just left. So that was it.
I'll pass that along to him.
You can get Soylent Green right now at Walmart.
And I'm sure it's very nutritious, I was wondering at what point are we just going to give the next generation like protein bars and just, do that. But that's another conspiracy theory.
Juicing.
Now, no, my conspiracy theory is about it's about flock cameras. There was an unfortunate story today, or actually yesterday, I think. There was an accident in Anderson that was a result of a high-speed pursuit that started in Pendleton. the high-speed chase, they were going at more than 100 miles an hour. The driver ended up hitting a Buick, killing both people in that car and pushing it into another vehicle, injuring 6 people. And this was all started because the flock camera sent a notification to the police that they found a license plate that had a driver with a suspended sentence or a suspended license, and so they went to go follow him. And apparently, this person had a warrant out in Grant County for a felon with a deadly weapon, or like they can't have a gun, and he had one, and so he had a warrant out for that, and so he fled. The chase went from Pendleton to Anderson into residential area, like right in front of St. Vincent, is where the accident happened. And a lot of the news stories are very strange. Some mention the flock camera and how the police were tipped off as to why this person was, a fugitive, and then some don't. And then you're wondering, was it worth it? Was that high-speed pursuit worth those 2 people's lives? And
this is so. Explain this flock camera. Is it something that's taking license plates as people are driving by?
Yeah, and it runs like 24/7, and so it actually sends notifications to the police if it catches anybody that is driving with a suspended sentence or a suspended license. Plates, registration, really anything that they can identify you with. Everybody can be identified with their car. So. And then that opens up the floodgates to, what if I wasn't driving my car? What if somebody else is driving my car? What happens if, everybody, the law enforcement side will say it's to protect everyone. And if there's a crime in the area, that they can track down that car very quickly. But if that's the case, then why even send police cars after this person to freak them out if you can just watch them and figure out where they are later?
You could track them to where they stop. If it was really about safety, they would just track them where they stopped.
Is it really about safety, or is it about them
control? Yeah, there's a lot of questions. It's almost like the cameras at the stoplight see you running the light, and or the toll bridge down on the Ohio River. If you're
revenue.
My daughter was driving my van and didn't pay that little $4 or whatever, which turned into $68.
You can't pay it on the Ohio River. There is no toll booth.
Yeah, you just drive through there, and you're just like, oh. And the same with.
And you know what they do? They mail it to you later, but something like 78% of those tickets never make it to the person that needs to make it to pay, and so then they start racking up the fines. I knew a guy that, he just didn't know. Since there was no toll booth, he figured he didn't have to pay. He thought since he was an Indiana resident that somehow it was like included as a benefit of us, being Hoosiers. He went to sell his car, and he could not sell his car because the fines exceeded the value of his car.
Yeah, it's crazy. That one it ended up being $68. It was, by the time I got, it was, 34 times 34. It was $4 for the thing and a $30 fine. $4 for the thing, $30 fine.
That's
it's like, thanks. And that's what I get for letting my daughter drive my car. So now, Rhonda, do you have a conspiracy theory that you just want to throw out there, or anything like, it doesn't have to be true, doesn't have to be false, doesn't have to be anything, just conspiracy?
No.
Yeah, that's a smart answer.
Smart
guess. Smart
Rhonda,
guess.
you've been like so great. I could listen to you all night.
I think we should conspire to get more Hoosiers and to Rhonda's conference this weekend. So let's make that.
There you go.
You want to be part of my conspiracy? Yes. Go to IndianaHomesteadingConference.com and come meet me there. You'll see me up at the introducing people. You might see me at table 3. But if you're a Mouthwash listener, you definitely should come get a picture.
Yeah. So my conspiracy is going to be about Spirit Airlines, because you saw, you noticed George's not here anymore, right? He's gone. So, but he had United in his background there. He had a United airplane. Well, if you followed the show before, Ed Liptrap was a frequent Spirit airline flyer out to California, and he frequently was bumped His flight was canceled. I think Spirit Airline tried to cancel him, and it got to be one of our jokes because he talked about his flight being canceled, and that one Tuesday he couldn't get on the internet. So they were after him. So this is what happened. Spirit Airlines, they came and got Jordan. They canceled us. And that's what's happening. So that's, I mean, we'll see if it comes true or not. If he's back next week, we'll know that it was just a conspiracy. But if he doesn't, that's it. All right. Well, this has been fun. This has been good. I'm looking forward to this conference this weekend. I'm going to probably head out there Saturday night, and we had some good conversation in the audience. This is a great show. So, Rhonda, we do thank you for coming on, and we're hoping for a great conference this weekend, and hopefully we can get some Mouthwash viewers out to come over. And if you do come out there, make sure you tell somebody, hey, I saw this on Mouthwash. So we
definitely
get some people out there. So, all right, everybody. Well, we're going to wind it up here. We'll see you next week. Oh, I got Watson Prunier coming on, and he has a show, Battle for Freedom, on Mojo 5.0 Radio. So he's another little podcaster like us that does this. He's a Christian-based guy, and I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. I sort of double booked this for the night. He was supposed to come on, so about 8 o'clock, he said, hey, what's the link? And I go, oh, yeah. So, I got my dates mixed up. You're next week. He said, okay. So I lied. I lied right to him. I was embarrassed. It's been
I hope
busy.
he doesn't watch this show.
Yeah, he is watching. So I got nothing to hide here, nothing to hide. So hey, kids, it's all good. It's all good. So all right. Well, hey, thanks, Rhonda. Thanks, Brad. And we'll see you. Let's get to the end of this thing here. Yep, we got the right thing on here. Yay! And we'll see y'all next week. And watch us on Channel 40. Get out to the conference. Let's learn how to homestead, not just take it off of your property tax. All right. And then look forward to that new segment they have, Homestead Hacks, where we're going to teach you easy ways to do a hard thing. So there you go. All right. Thanks a lot for watching.
Thanks,
We'll
guys.
see you next week.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.